Democrats losing it as Trump makes a huge move, federalizing Washington, D.C. Let's check it out. And welcome to Rob Schmitt tonight. This morning, the president announced that he has had enough of living in a crime-ridden dump. Trump invoking Section 740 of the D.C. Home Rule Act, giving him control of the city's police force and its 3,500 police officers. And this comes after yet another D.C. shooting at the Navy Yard this weekend. And these are just what were in the headlines here. A young teen firing into a crowd. Police all over that. A large group of teens ransacking a store on Saturday as well. And, of course, a gang of teen punks, teenagers as well, attacking one of the smartest members of DOJ, Ed Korestein, known as Big Balls, 8 days ago. Just some of the headlines we've seen, and that doesn't cover all the crime that D.C. has seen in just last week. The murder rate in our nation's capital currently 5 to 10 times higher than cities like Nairobi, Kenya, and Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Think about that for a second. 5 times higher than Nairobi, Kenya is the murder rate in Washington, D.C. It's pitiful. It's a joke that we even put up with this. The National Guard now being called in to bring stability back to the city. Troops will be visible in the coming days, according to the defense secretary. And Trump, whose personal homes are in the very idyllic locations of Bedminster, New Jersey, and Palm Beach, Florida, is clearly no longer willing to live in a dangerous dump. Take a listen.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. It's becoming a situation of complete and total lawlessness. And we're getting rid of the slums, too. We have slums here. We're getting rid of them. I know it's not politically correct. You'll say, oh, so terrible. No, we're getting rid of the slums where they live.
Yeah, because who wants to live amongst crime and filth? Well, I guess the Democrat Party, but who really wants to live in that? And aware of the room that he was speaking in, the president actually leveled with the rest of the room, the left-wing reporters that were all filming him and watching him, who are all very familiar themselves with D.C. crime.
You people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now.
No, you don't. So today was Trump at his very best. If you didn't watch this news conference, you should have. Calling out crime and grime that we can all see and promising a no BS solution from a guy who likes to get things done and get them done fast. This is what America is starved for. But the American left and Democrats have been trying to convince you that the problem he's talking about just doesn't exist. What was described today in that news conference, what we see in Washington, what news reporters and everyone else sees every single day that they live there, what residents see all the time, that problem exists in most of the big blue cities in this country. It is a total indictment of their politics, which mandate that we all must live in squalor for some reason, equal poverty and misery for all. Why do we have to live that way, is what the president asks, and we don't. You just don't have to live that way. These cities can be beautiful and clean and fun and exciting at the same time. The new U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, brought it all home, highlighting the disaster that has become of inner-city black culture and little kids who are raised terribly, most of whom don't have fathers, and become monsters by their early teens. That is the real pandemic in Washington, D.C. So much of this crime is by 15, 16-year-old kids that have absolutely no semblance of family at all. Nearly half the robberies, half the carjackings are teens, and many of them look like little kids, early in high school, if they're even going to school. Remember in 2021 when 2 little girls tried to carjack an Uber driver? These girls were 13 and 15. The driver ended up dying in a crash while trying to speed away with his door open. The scene was horrific. A 13-year-old girl and a 15-year-old girl did this. That is the reality of D.C. today. Here's Janine Pirro.
I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak.
She was fantastic. She stole the show today. No more empathy. The law is the law. Without a tough response, we're just going to see more victims and more death. Not that anybody that runs that city seems to care. What Trump is trying to do is the most humane answer, as he's vilified for it. Democrats are the villains, able to ignore loads of dead black kids without a care in the world. It's amazing how many dead black kids the Democrat Party can ignore. Impressively, Trump has managed to win over D.C.'s mayor, Muriel Bowser, which probably shocks a lot of people, who's been on television admitting that her city kind of needs this.
There's more to do. We need judges. You heard Janine Pirro says she needs prosecutors, and we need police in D.C. I'd like to hire 500 great people over the course of the next several years to get our numbers where they need to be.
Speaking to two really pissed off hosts on MSNBC that couldn't believe what they were hearing. She's game, and that's a really big deal in this process. Although, to be fair, the president is not buying her narrative from that soundbite that D.C. just needs more cops.
Sir, they've requested more police. Oh, what do they have? About 3,500. I said, 3,500? This is not a big area. It's ridiculous. What you need is rules and regulations, and you need the right people to implement them. And we have the right people here, that I can tell you.
It's ridiculous. And that's exactly right. It's not about more cops. It's about implementing the law and actually prosecuting people after you arrest them, so criminals once again become scared to commit crime because they actually think they might end up going to jail. But as Muriel Bowser falls in line with law and order, others in the Democrat Party are still in denial of all of this, holding the line, still pretending that everything is fine and Trump's just a dictator. As their radical politics destroy our society, Hillary decides to chime in with a tweet. By the way, she doesn't allow anybody to comment on her tweets, which is so insecure, writing that Trump is unhinged and D.C. crime is at a 30-year low. This is what all of the left media has been screaming all day, desperate to protect D.C.'s radically left-wing government from getting what they deserve and the criticisms they deserve. MSNBC's deep state typist Ken Delanian claiming that Trump used false and misleading statistics about crime in D.C., which Delanian also says are at historic lows because D.C. is just amazing. He would know, he lives there. It's such a beautiful, safe place to live, Ken. Do you even lock your door? This is the propaganda they need you to believe. That narrative, that comment that you just heard from both of them is everywhere today. I could show you 1,000 examples. All to protect the agenda of the ideology they worship. Because if D.C. really is crime-ridden, that means their politics have failed. And that's exactly what's happening. Again, this is an indictment of their politics nationwide. Every major city has this problem. They're failing. They have failed. But here's how the city is described, Washington, D.C. is described by locals who have no political agenda.
It's funky, it stinks, the stores are dirty, and I don't know what we're going to do.
There are pockets in D.C. that are significantly out of control. We have school zones that are drug-infested neighborhoods.
Some shots, some bangs. We've seen police officers running in all directions.
I almost feel a little desensitized to it in a way because it seems to be of the norm.
Yeah, that's the reality. But as we know, there's a million ways to play with crime stat numbers for political benefit, and they're experts at that in places like Washington, D.C., and that's exactly how Hillary and all the other lefties are trying to dupe Americans into believing that radical left governments can actually bring you a safer city. Which is, I mean, we just look at the politics, it's the stupidest thing you've ever heard. Let's get rid of bail. Let's stop arresting people. It's all smoke and mirrors. Just a few months ago, a D.C. police commander was suspended, accused of changing crime stats. Michael Pulliam placed on paid administrative leave just in mid-May, a few months ago. The union claims police supervisors in the department are manipulating crime data to make it appear that violent crime has fallen considerably compared to last year. How much of that is going on? How much of that allows Hillary Clinton to say that crime is at historic lows when people are just getting shot all over the place and the city's filthy and everybody knows it? That's really how regimes inject their agenda, right? They just lie to your face. You can see it, but they just say it's not happening. They talk about how Trump's a tyrant. They're the tyrants. Very strange behavior for a police department in such a safe and thriving city to be screwing with the numbers. They got rid of the guy that did it. It's not a conspiracy theory. Record low crime, according to Ken Delaney and Hillary Clinton. Yeah, sure. Some credit here goes to an ABC News anchor who gives insight into just how dangerous it really is in what should be a very safe location of Washington, D.C., the location of a network news bureau, which is a very short 2-3 minute walk from Lafayette Square and the White House. Take a listen to this.
I can tell you firsthand here in downtown D.C. where we work, right here around our bureau, just in the past 6 months, there were 2 people shot. 1 person died, literally 2 blocks down here from the bureau. It was within the last 2 years that I actually was jumped walking just 2 blocks down from here. And then just this morning, one of my coworkers said her car was stolen a block away from the bureau.
That's a very busy block. Again, I mean, I could hit a golf ball to the White House from where she's talking about. Isn't that all you need to know right there? And the truth is, it'll never change unless this takeover happens, and it's happening. We'll keep seeing congressional staffers attacked, innocent people targeted while leaving restaurants, and a bunch of dead black kids peppered through the streets for years and years and years. And nobody in the state government seems to care. The city government. The left has barricaded itself into power in Washington, D.C., and they're able to manipulate all of this to make you think it's all just a delusion and to make you think more so that if you live in a big city, this is just part of the deal, right? That we all have to live like this. That if you're going to be in a big city with a lot of different kinds of people in it, that there's just going to be a lot of crime and it's going to be dangerous. And that's just part of life. You don't have to live. Just because it's in every city, because every city in this country is blue, doesn't mean you have to live this way. It'll just decay further if you continue this way. Giuliani proved that we don't have to live this way. When I moved to New York, it was so damn safe I couldn't believe it. You could walk home through Brooklyn 2 in the morning. It didn't matter. Trump also making a comment that was very satisfying today to many of us, for those of us who feel immediate rage when we see these videos that you've seen a lot of the last few years. Radical, lawless protesters, anarchists, terrorists taunting our cops, spitting on them. We've seen way too much of this since George Floyd, and it's infuriating to watch. My blood boils when I see these people. And you just wish that cop could rear back and just level these people. Here was Trump's response today.
They love to spit in the face of the police as the police are standing up there in uniform. They're standing and they're screaming at them an inch away from their face. And then they start spitting in their face. And I said, you tell them, you spit and we hit. And they can hit real hard. And they're standing there and people are spitting in their face and they're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want.
Damn right. Trump's message today will resonate because the anarchists in this country have gone too far. And for too many years, we've had to listen to this. And the fashionable years of vilifying law and order are long over now. Nobody is buying that nonsense anymore. Americans are ready to see society flex its control muscles and bring us back to some kind of sanity. We're tired of living in places like Washington, D.C. You're sick of hearing the stories. You realize you don't have to live this way, and you don't. You don't. Learn how to vote, Republicans in blue cities. Learn how to frickin' vote. Show up and vote. It's enough. We've all had enough. All right, Sebastian Gorka, Deputy Assistant to the President, joins us now from the White House. Sir, good to have you. A takeover of the police department in Washington. How quickly do you think that city can be cleaned up? Even the president said today it's not that big of an area.
No, he's absolutely right, Rob. If you look at the actual territory that we have to assist in policing and bringing down the crime wave, it's not a large geographic extent. The issue is getting law and order, but the people are in place. Pam Bondi with her control of the MPD. You heard the incredible judge, Janine, as well. Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, all of these people are ready. We have Pete Hegseth, who will assist with the National Guard. I think almost instantly. Why? Because it goes back to the broken windows rule, the incredible policy that was brought into place in a crime-infested New York by Rudy Giuliani and Chief Bratton way back when, that says once you begin to show presence and to police these small infractions, whether it's jumping a turnstile or littering, people get the message quick. And no longer will this beautiful city be a small city that had upwards of 900 carjackings a year under Biden. Sheer insanity, Rob.
The media today has been working very hard, along with a lot of people on the left, to downplay the crime in Washington, to try and convince people that Washington is much safer than it was before and it's a thriving city. Just take a listen to this.
You have to look at the data. I mean, in D.C., as we've stated, the fact is that crime is down in the city. And so, you know, we're hearing a lot of hyperbole there, I think, from the president.
You know, statistics do show that violent crime in Washington is falling since reaching a peak in 2023.
There was a lot of deception from the president there. So here's a reality check. There is no doubt that D.C. has for decades been a high crime city. It is among the U.S. cities with the highest homicide rates. D.C. did indeed have a big crime spike in 2023.
I mean, D.C. has a higher homicide rate than Nairobi, Kenya. And I've been to Nairobi, and I was scared in Nairobi. Bogota, Colombia, Ethiopia's capital, much higher than Ethiopia's capital. I mean, this is insane.
Some weekends more dangerous than Baghdad, Iraq. Two personal stories. So, number one, a follower of mine literally just DM'd me on my X account and said, I was crying as I watched that press conference because as a Maryland resident for years, I have been afraid to take my family into D.C. Finally, we have a chance for law and order. On my national radio show, I'm not going to embarrass him, I had an incredible sound engineer who said, I'm leaving the city because of the second stabbing he witnessed from the front window of his home in D.C., just a few blocks from Congress. This is the reality of the nation's capital. God bless President Trump for finally bringing us back to where we should be, a shining city on the hill, Rob.
You know why I think they're really aggravated by this and why there's been such a strong reaction against it is because if and when this works, it will be such an indictment of the policies that they have implemented in cities all over the country. It's going to show people, holy hell, if we just change the politics in this city a little bit, if we can just move it a little bit back toward normalcy, we can live in a thriving, beautiful city with nice things, and we can feel safe and dine outside and have all these wonderful things. And they're terrified that what that would mean politically.
You nailed it, Rob, but with one addition. In the year of our 250th birthday for America, everyone's going to be looking at the Capitol, and once it's fixed in a couple of weeks or months' time, the whole message of sanctuary states and social workers instead of the police, it will be dead in the water as everyone is looking at this city to celebrate the greatest nation on earth. You got it, my friend.
That's great. I want to just show one more moment just because I thought it was so funny from this big press conference today that the president held. Take a look.
You're building the big, beautiful ballroom. Yeah. Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room? Technology, more seats.
I don't want to do that. I don't want you to be comfortable. So no, I don't want to make life comfortable.
I thought that was great. And I mean, they are packed. I've been in that room now. You took me to that room. And I was surprised by how small and shabby it was, but it kind of makes perfect sense for the American press corps, doesn't it?
Yeah, you need to put that photograph of you up at the podium in the press briefing room. Look, it's tiny. It's JFK's, don't tell anyone, JFK's former swimming pool, right? Yeah. That's what we covered over when we made the press briefing room. But, you know, it would be a lot less packed if it were real real journalists in the room and not the fake news as well. So we'll keep spaces for you, for Salem, for Breitbart, but maybe the rest don't need to be there. Just an idea, Rob.
Sebastian Gorka, good to see you. Thanks so much.
God bless. Thanks, Rob.
All right, so the president today using the southern border as evidence of just how quickly the administration is going to clean up Washington, D.C. Take a look.
We're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Just like we did on our southern border. Nobody comes to our southern border anymore. 3 months in a row, we had zero. You need the right people to implement it. I mean, we have the right people here, that I can tell you. Look at the border. Biden said, there's nothing you can do. Kamala was the border czar. She never called one of the Border Patrol agents who are great. ICE is great. Never spoke to anybody. Never went there. But she was the border czar. And everybody said it was impossible to fix. I fixed it in 3 months.
Fix it along with Tom Homan, the current border czar, who joins us now. And sir, good to have you back on. Trump surging law enforcement to D.C., National Guard, FBI, ATF, Secret Service. Is ICE a part of this equation at all?
Yes, ICE and Border Patrol. I think it's a great idea. I mean, I've been in law enforcement for 40 years. I won't transit D.C. without a gun. And any of these reporters said the crime rate is way down and it's safer than they say. I dare any of them walk the streets of D.C. after dark. If it's that safe, go ahead and do it. See how that works out for you.
What do you say? I mean, the people that are trying to spin this, how blind do they think the average American is, especially one that might, live and commute in the D.C. area, to try and get us to believe that it's really getting better in Washington when you see the stories?
It's the same people who said the border's secure as you and I watch thousands of people cross the border every day. They just don't. They think we're idiots. So, anybody that transits D.C., works in D.C., or lives in D.C., they know the truth. And just like the ones who were smart, we knew the border was not secure. We knew the border is a historic crisis. So, the lies, the lies, the lies. They think if they lie enough, people start believing them. But Americans are smarter.
What he said today, and we didn't cut this, but I think he said 3 months, zero border crossings, some number like that. What is that figure he's talking about? It was quite impressive.
In the last 3 months, we've had zero releases from the border. Zero. Yeah. Everybody that comes to the border is immediately returned, and we ended catch and release. And ending catch and release is the big reason why that border is the most secure border in history of this nation. On top of that, with the 1,000 ICE teams on the street every day, we're showing the whole world there's consequences. Yeah. You enter the country illegally, we're going to find you and we're going to remove you. So having remain in Mexico, the third safe country agreements, ending catch and release, together we're showing consequences for those who got by and earned by administration, is why we have the most secure border in the history of this nation now, because of President Trump and his guidance, his vision, his executive orders got the ball rolling. Yeah, and you've done an incredible job of implementing all of that, and I know that's not an easy job to do. 300,000 deportations, I think you announced last week. 1 million have self-deported. How optimistic are you feeling about being able to at least undo what Biden did over the course of these 4 years? Look, we're going to put a huge dent in, especially now we're bringing more resources. ICE deportation officers had around 5,000, and we're dealing with over 20 million illegal aliens, and at least. And so, now we're going to hire 10,000 more boots on the ground. Immigration officers are going to go out and look for these people. Yeah. And we're still going to prioritize public safety threats and national security threats. They go first, but if you're in the country illegally, you're not off the table. We'll be looking for those 1.4 million that had due process, have been ordered removed by judge, and simply becoming fugitive. So more boots on the ground, more detention beds, more air contracts, deportation flights. You just watch what happens in the next 6 months. Do we have any idea at this point how many illegal aliens are in the country? Like what the total number is, not just what Biden let in. What do you think that total number is? Is it over 50? Is it under 50? Well, it's well over 20. I mean, we've been, and the media keeps saying 12 million, 12 million. They've been using 12 million for 2 decades. Right. Under Biden alone, we got 10 million to the border. I mean, so we got well over 20 million guaranteed, but who knows? Because remember, we got 2 million known gotaways, right? The people that cross the border weren't apprehended. We don't know who they are, where they came from, why they're here. And the gotaways under Joe Biden, that was a known gotaways. Now you got the whole population of unknown gotaways. Because there's sections of the border under Biden, there was no technology, there was no drones, there was no sensors to track those gotaways. So well over 20, and I've been doing this for a long time, well over 20 guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Tom Homan, the border czar. We appreciate you coming on, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. 20 million, but watch the dent we put in it. Not 20 million, no more.
Doing great. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Even the Sunday shows couldn't help but slam the gerrymandering hypocrisy we heard last week, leaving blue state clowns like JB Pritzker scrambling for an answer. That's next.
The violation of people's voting rights is what Texas is attempting to do.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.
August 16th, 1977 is a date forever remembered by music lovers throughout the world as the day the King died. Born a twin on January 8, 1935 in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis Aaron Presley's twin brother Jesse died at birth, leaving the future entertainment legend to grow up a single child. After making his first recording at age 19 for Sun Records, 1 year later, RCA bought his contract, and within 2 years, Elvis Presley emerged as an international recording sensation. But at age 22, young Elvis was drafted into the Army. He declined special service status and trained alongside regular soldiers at Fort Hood before joining the Army's 3rd Armored Division in Germany. After 2 years of service and meeting his wife Priscilla, Sergeant Elvis Presley returned to civilian life and went on to star in 33 films and break records for his television specials and appearances. But concerts were always his first love.
It's my favorite part of the business, is a live concert.
80,000 people lined the streets as a parade of white limousines made their way to Graceland to pay their final respects. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV. January 15th, 1929 was a chilly day in Atlanta, Georgia, when a family gathered to welcome into this world a new life, and with it, a new hope for America. Throughout his 39 years, he instilled in Americans a new spirit of justice and freedom, based on equality instead of status, and character instead of race. He waged a nonviolent war on racial segregation, with appearances that radiated with an energy that transcended all races, all faiths, and people of all ages, with words that still resonate today.
I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
He spoke to us of his dreams and his beliefs that justice too long delayed is justice denied.
All right, we made such a stink about this hypocrisy that over at NBC News, they couldn't help but have to call this out. Illinois Governor JB Pritzker called out for having one of the worst gerrymandered states in the country on Meet the Press. Take a look.
How do you preserve democracy if you're using the same tactics that you've criticized Texas Republicans for?
But as I say, what they're talking about is a distraction. The reality is that the violation of people's voting rights is what Texas is attempting to do. That's what's wrong with their efforts right now. And the fact that the President of the United States knows it and nevertheless is asking them to do it. That is what's wrong with what we're seeing right now. Democracy is at stake.
Democracy is at stake. Hang on, I'm not supposed to get questions like this on Meet the Press. Why are you asking me hard questions? I'm a Democrat. Kathy Hochul also put on blast this weekend, claiming that her state followed the rules and refusing to admit Texas is simply doing the same thing the Dems have done for years. They're all saying that they're following the rules, and that's why they're allowed to gerrymander their states within an inch of hell. New York drew up a congressional map that was so gerrymandered that even the state's liberal court threw it out back in 2022. And then, of course, Gavin Newsom, who is running for president and needs attention every single day, decided to write a strongly worded letter to the president offering a ceasefire proposal, saying that if you will not stand down, that he's going to be forced to lead an effort to redraw the maps of California even further, even more gerrymandered. But if other states call off their redistricting efforts, we will happily do the same. The American democracy will be better for it, claims California's governor. Right. Ben Ferguson is a podcast and talk radio host. Tudor Dixon is the host of the Tudor Dixon podcast. Both are with us now. Ben, we'll start with you. So Gavin says, I'm going to leave my state gerrymandered as hell, but I won't do it anymore if you don't gerrymander your states at all.
Sure.
And democracy's better.
And you just look at the numbers, because I love the numbers.
Yeah.
California has 52 congressional seats. The GOP has 9 of them, and 40% of the state votes Republican.
Yeah.
But we're going to make it worse than that just to get even with what you're doing in Texas, which is nothing close to what we're doing in California and have been doing for decades.
Yeah.
This is a guy who I think clearly is saying, I'll say anything to get on TV.
Yep.
I want to run for president of the United States of America. I'm going to say anything Donald Trump does. Orange Man's bad, whether it's crime, whether it's illegal immigration, whether it's Texas and what's going on here. This is the Democratic Party right now. And the part that I think is the funniest about all this to me is the fact that now we're actually getting to tell the story of just how bad Democrats have been when it comes to gerrymandering all over the country for decades.
No one
knew about it. No one knew that, like in some states, there's 0 Republicans that are elected there because the way they've drawn the lines, and these are prestigious states, right, in the Northeast. And they're like, well, it couldn't happen there. Yes, it's happening in all of these states. Illinois is another great example of it. So I actually think Democrats now have done a really bad thing for themselves because they've gone after, they should have shut up. If they would have just shut up and let it happen. But now it's like, all right, well, the world now knows just how bad you guys are.
And we're disabling so many of the mechanisms that they have for power. This is one of them. What they've done with the controls that they have in the intelligence state, things like that, how they manipulate things. All of that's just being disabled at the same time.
Well, and you even saw like Eric Holder.
Let me get to Tudor here real quick so we don't cut her off. But Tudor, go ahead.
No, I know. I'm like, me, let me tell you my story, because as Ben is talking about this, I'm like, this happened to me in my district in Michigan. They redistricted, and I have historically always had a Republican congressman, and you would look at the district. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's so meandering and chopped up just to make sure that they get a Democrat congressman in my district. It is ridiculous. They've been doing this for years. I love, though, that they're saying this, because it's not just that we get to highlight the things that they've done in the past. We get to highlight the fact that they continue to have no message for the American people, and that's why they're going out complaining right now. And I thought, Rob, what you said was funny when he's like, Pritzker's like, hey, I don't go on NBC to be questioned. That is going to be a real eye-opener for these Democrats who are suddenly going to be getting these questions, and they deserve it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the reason that they got hit so hard is I think these other news networks had no choice. There was such a stink about this last week, and they lied through their teeth so badly about the reality of gerrymandering that even Kristen Welker was like, I have to call this out, right? I have to call it out. Yeah. I got to leave it there because I had a 25-minute A block, and we appreciate you guys coming on. Tom Homan kind of took us for a ride, but good to see you guys. Thanks so much.
See you.
Michael Cohen says Schiff and Big Tish are going down. That's next.
You hear the same voices.
Donald Trump knows that's a lie.
From the same people.
Donald Trump is less lucid.
Saying the same thing.
Insults, invective, and outright lies.
And you say, enough! I'm Chris Salcedo, and I'll tell you the real news. If you don't believe me, just tune in.
It's not close to Miami's trendy South Beach, but it sits just off downtown, perched on Biscayne Bay, a home called the finest private house ever built in America, Villa Vizcaya. Industrialist James Deering of the agricultural giant International Harvester Corporation began work on the Mediterranean-style villa in 1914. Back then, Miami was a sleepy hamlet, just opening up to sunshine seekers from the north. Deering sought to build a palace, a home like no other on the North American shores.
Mr. Deering was really interested in technology, so he utilized all the available technology when he built Vizcaya. For example, he had a central fire alarm system, a central vacuum system, a central communication system, and a central heating system.
After decades of construction, bringing together antiquities from ancient Greece, Rome, as well as Gothic and Renaissance Europe, and many millions of dollars, Deering finally moved into his home Christmas Day of 1916. He enjoyed his almost mystical home with an enormous courtyard and vista on Miami's waterfront, complete with his own concrete boat for nearly a decade before his death in 1925 at the age of 80. His home was the scene of Great Gatsby-style parties, entertaining guests like film star Lillian Gish and even President Warren Harding. Deering's relatives sold off much of the property, but they also carefully preserved 50 beautiful acres. President Reagan met with Pope John Paul II here, and Queen Elizabeth traveled by boat to see this fairy tale home. And today, thousands stream in to get a glimpse of a home from a truly elegant era. I'm Lucy Celia, and this is An American Place on Newsmax TV.
In the early morning hours of May 2nd, 2011, the Central Intelligence Agency launched Operation Neptune Spear and set into motion a mission to bring one of the world's most notorious terrorists to justice. All indications were that Osama bin Laden was asleep as the U.S. Naval Special Warfare Development Group, known as SEAL Team 6, approached his highly secured three-story Pakistani-based compound. When located in his living quarters on the third floor of his compound, the head of the Islamist group Al-Qaeda was found using his young wife as a shield. The Obama administration reported the 54-year-old terrorist was given a traditional Islamic burial at sea. 9 years, 7 months, and 21 days following his infamous attack on New York's Twin Towers, killing thousands of innocent civilians, its mastermind, Osama bin Laden, was dead.
Mark my words, politically, they're both doomed. They will be held accountable for the crimes that they are now looking at. That's Ed Martin who's looking at him. And I know so many people are going to say, oh, my God, Michael Cohen is like bending the knee to Trump. No, what I'm doing is I'm actually telling you the reality.
Michael Cohen on MSNBC's really weird weekend show with two strange hosts admitting that things are not looking good for Tish James and Adam Schiff. Pam Bondi has appointed Ed Martin to probe mortgage fraud allegations against the New York Attorney General and the California Senator, who both preached so many times that nobody is above the law as they went after Trump for anything they could possibly manufacture. Now both are being criminally investigated for lying about their permanent residencies, as well as a couple other things. Letitia James has also been hit with multiple subpoenas related to her civil fraud case against President Trump, and the other dealing with Tisha's own probe into the NRA. A very corrupt woman is she. Mike Davis is the founder and president of the Article 3 Project, joins us now. Mike, what do you have to say to that prediction from Michael Cohen, who of course is a man that hates the president?
I would say to Big Tish James and to Adam Shifty Schiff to lawyer up, because nobody's above the law. They have evidence that these two individuals may have lied on their mortgage applications. Adam Schiff had a condo back in California as his primary residence, and then he claimed his primary residence was in Maryland to get a tax advantage. Big Tish James in New York, under New York statute, has to live in New York, has to reside in New York as the Attorney General. She got a mortgage down in Norfolk, Virginia, and said that that was her primary residence. I don't know how you can have a primary residence in Norfolk, Virginia, when you're required to live in New York under New York statute. She also said in prior mortgage applications that her father was her husband, so she seems to have a pattern of committing mortgage fraud, as the New York Post report it. So I am, as someone who has defended President Trump against this lawfare for 3 years, I am very excited about Ed Martin as the special counsel to hold these two accountable.
I think Miranda Devine, in her piece today, wrote that if you're going to take a swing at the king, you better not miss. And I think that's indicative of what's going on here. I mean, you look at what's alleged here. This is exactly what they did to him. They dug and dug and dug for something to find. They over-criminalized anything he's ever done. They manufactured something, and then they used the full extent of the law to go after him for things that nobody's prosecuted for. I mean, the business dealing stuff in New York, it was like nobody gets prosecuted for that except Donald Trump. And it was so bad that they put him in the White House, and now they're catching some real hell.
Yeah, Big Tish James went after President Trump. She said that Mar-a-Lago was only worth $18 million when Trump paid back sophisticated Wall Street banks on time as agreed in full with interest. A tennis court at Mar-a-Lago is worth more than $18 million. And I am very excited that Big Tish could end up in prison.
Yeah, rightly so. Well deserved, I would say, from two of the absolute worst that we've been able to find. Mike Davis, good to have you on. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Israel has recently called up more than 400,000 reserves as Netanyahu says that Israel is going to take back Gaza. The mistake from 20 years ago, such a huge mistake to ever give that away. Our Carl Higbee is there. He is in Jerusalem all week. He's going to be meeting with the Prime Minister, also Mike Huckabee, the ambassador to Israel. You can check out Carl's show every day at 5 p.m. right here on Newsmax. South Park's new boss at Paramount praises the show for being equal opportunity offenders. But our exclusive reporting on the sellouts that create that show has gone viral. Now, everybody's asking why, if they're equal opportunity, why, if they're so bold, did they never touch Joe Biden? That's next.
I'm Michael Savage, and I was conservative before conservative was cool. Do you realize how crazy the liberals in this country have become? I do. You want to get me started today? I'll get started. Watch Michael Savage and the Savage Nation every Sunday night.
The 1954 U.S. Supreme Court's decision, Brown versus the Board of Education, declared all laws establishing segregated schools to be unconstitutional. As with the majority of southern cities, Little Rock, Arkansas's Board of Education agreed to comply with the court's ruling. However, Arkansas's Governor Orville Faubus had other ideas.
Units of the National Guard have been and are now being mobilized with the mission to maintain or restore the peace and good order of this community.
President Eisenhower was so disturbed by the governor's decision to completely ignore federal law, he cut short his vacation and returned to the White House to address the nation.
The president's responsibility is inescapable. In accordance with that responsibility, I have today issued an executive order directing the use of troops under federal authority to aid in the execution of federal law at Little Rock, Arkansas.
At the center of the controversy were 9 black students selected by the Little Rock School Board to attend the then all-white Central High School. One of the students, Elizabeth Eckford, arrived at the school separately and found herself confronting an angry crowd of students and bystanders. Suddenly, out of that crowd, as seen here, an older white woman came to her rescue and guided her safely to a bus. Even after the 9 students were admitted to Central High, the year that followed found them being subjected to taunts and abuses, both verbal and physical, by student and parent alike.
Well, I think like if a Spanish or a Chinese person came here, it wouldn't be hard to get along with them. It's just that the Negroes are what you might say more different to us than a Spanish person might be.
However, with the admittance of those brave students on the 25th day of September 1957, the precedent had been set. And soon afterward, all of Little Rock schools voluntarily complied with the court's rulings, and planned school segregation became part of a troubled past. I'm Bill Curtis, and this is an American Moment.
But you know, you do have to fight to keep freedom. Because there are always people who will say, oh, give a little bit more power to government, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. Then one day, you've got so many people employed by government that they have a vested interest in keeping more and more power in the hands of government and less in the hands of people. No, it shall not be. The governments are there to serve the liberties of the people, not to restrict them.
Welcome back. So South Park getting a lot of praise for slamming Trump and this administration. They're obsessed with going after them for the last couple episodes. J.D. Vance has leaned into his parody online, tweeting about it. Charlie Kirk also doing the same. Kristi Noem doing the same, not running from it. And rightly so. Comedy should lambaste anyone it wants to, all sides. You shouldn't be trying to censor it like the Biden administration did. South Park always claimed to be unafraid to hit anybody. But unfortunately, as someone that's a fan of the show, unfortunately, we found out that that is a lie. Paramount CEO David Ellison told CNN recently that they're equal opportunity offenders and always have been. It's now going to be his franchise. But they never hit Joe Biden after he gave them 4 years of the best possible content you could ever ask for. The show discovered South Park's entertainment lawyer is Kevin Morris, responsible for their first big deal. Kevin met Hunter Biden at a Joe Biden fundraiser, became Hunter's sugar brother, bailing out Joe's drug-addicted son many different times. And now we learned something about one of the best political parodies on TV, that there is a line they won't cross. And Robert Davi is an actor and director who created the film My Son Hunter, which came out in 2022. An excellent film based on the laptop saga that we know so well. And, sir, good to have you on the show. You know, Trump is the only story in this season of South Park. They're obsessed with him. And for 30 years, they've been considered, I think, the boldest TV show out there, totally unafraid. But it appears that there's a red line that they won't cross, and that's Joe Biden.
Well, thank you for having me on, Rob. And South Park was praised by the conservative movement at one time for some of the things they had done in the past, except, of course, when Trump entered the arena. And this whole thing, I have to tell you, I think it's important that someone do a book. David Horowitz did a book called Radical Islam and the Unholy Alliance, Radical Islam and the American Left. What you need to do is you have to uncover the trail of partners that Kevin Morris has. And you will find a long trail of very powerful Hollywood people. And that leads to the left in Hollywood that's been given the orders to lay off certain things and also attack certain things. That's why Gavin Newsom goes untouched. Gavin Newsom is one of the worst politicians in the history of California, and yet this guy goes unscathed, and it's disgusting. He and Beto O'Rourke are like twins. But as far as Kevin Morris, he came to the set of My Son Hunter when I was directing it in Serbia. And the funny part about it is that while we were in Serbia in the beginning, the hotel staff came up to me and said, do you know who was here a month ago? This is before we got there. Hunter Biden. What was he doing in Serbia? Now, we're filming the movie, and Kevin Morris, a nice gentleman, showed up on a private jet with some other people. They told us that he was doing a documentary on Hunter Biden and also that he was part of the South Park thing, and people felt that he was, anyway, I said I'm not going to speak to them because I kind of had a feeling what was going on. And this is when no one said there was a Hunter Biden laptop. Don't forget, we were blasted by the left-wing media saying this is a pile of crap. And I wrote out to some of these reviewers saying you should apologize because now you know there's a laptop and now you know that it's in the film. And people should see the film My Son Hunter. But it's an absurdity. It's an absurdity, and it's continued on over and over and over in Hollywood. They will spit on certain aspects, but they will then let go of something else. That's so evident. Like you did the earlier segment about the Letitia James and the other one. You know, all of a sudden Michael Cohen is now propagating that they're going to be, it's incredible.
Amazing what they can capture, and amazing. I mean, South Park. I love those guys because the show was so honest and it would hit everybody. And they proclaimed that they were Republicans one time. It was a big stink about it, but even they were able to be captured by that scary entity in Hollywood that forced them to and silenced them. And I never thought those two could be silenced, but they were for 4 years under Joe Biden. As much as they're praised now, it's something to remember. I got to leave it there. Robert Davi, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Rob.
Good to see you. What on earth were the Minnesota Vikings thinking with this? Next.
A legendary U.S. Supreme Court justice once said, "You do what you think is right, and then let the law catch up." A descendant of slaves, Thurgood Marshall, who later changed his name to Thurgood, was born in Baltimore on July 2, 1908, to William Canfield Marshall, a railroad porter, and Norma Erica Marshall, a teacher. While attending Lincoln University, the future Supreme Court justice was suspended twice for pranking and hazing his fellow students. In his freshman year, Marshall opposed the integration of the university's African American professors, resulting in him being labeled rough and ready, loud and wrong by his fellow classmates. However, as a sophomore at Lincoln, he supported a local anti-segregation protest and joined Alpha Phi Alpha, the nation's first all-black fraternity. Although his mother pawned her wedding ring to help pay for his tuition, Thurgood Marshall earned his law degree from Howard University with an LLB magna cum laude. Following graduation, he opened his own law office and began his association with the NAACP, eventually being named their chief counsel for the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund. While serving as their chief counsel, Marshall argued 32 cases before the Supreme Court, 29 of which he won. President Kennedy appointed Thurgood Marshall to the United States Court of Appeals in 1961. 4 years later, President Johnson appointed him United States Solicitor General, where he won 14 of the 19 cases he championed and called it the best job I've ever had. Then on the 13th of June, 1967, President Johnson nominated Marshall to a seat on the United States Supreme Court, making him the first African-American justice to serve on the nation's highest court. While serving on the court, Marshall was considered a liberal justice intent on championing the rights of criminals, supporting the right to abortion, and denying the constitutionality of the death penalty. After 24 years on the Supreme Court, Thurgood Marshall retired in 1991 and later died of heart failure on January 24, 1993, at the age of 84. You're watching An American Life on Newsmax TV.
Abraham Lincoln began the war between the states with a single stated purpose: to preserve the Union. So it surprised everyone when in July of 1862, President Lincoln announced his intentions to issue an Emancipation Proclamation to free the Southern slaves. Lincoln was urged to delay his proclamation until the Union Army could boast a battlefield victory. That opportunity came at the Battle of Antietam, when Union forces drove Lee's army out of Maryland. 5 days later, on September 22, 1862, President Lincoln issued the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation, stating slaves in those areas still in rebellion within 100 days will be freed. This action made slavery the focus of the war and ultimately caused France and England to withdraw their support of the South. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.
I don't know, by the way, it's time now for News from the Left. And let me just start off by saying that I don't understand how this decision was made, but the Minnesota Vikings football team celebrating diversity in the NFL by announcing this week that they've hired 2 dudes to be on their cheer squad, and they're putting them right in the front and center. One of them's name is Louis. I guess that's him right there. Nobody wants to look at Louis. Nice flip. It's cheerleading. It's the chicks. They're hot girls. You want to see women. Nobody wants to see this. The Minnesota Vikings have, I guess, slept through the last election and the whole cultural change in this country, the shift that we've seen. Why would you ever do this right now? It's the dumbest thing you could possibly do. They still don't understand who is watching football. They don't get it. Next up, switching over to a different sport, WNBA is getting a bit more interesting now that a bunch of sex toys are being thrown on the floors of the games. 4 of them landed on the court during one game. Did they have 4 in one game? Is that right? Am I reading that right? No. Okay, multiple games. I didn't think so. 2 people have been arrested over this. USA Today reporting cryptocurrency meme coin creators say they're responsible for the sex toys being thrown at multiple WNBA games, and they're planning more pranks. CNN talking about it. The commentary is hilarious. Take a listen.
The WNBA
is cracking down on dildos being thrown onto the court during games. What is going on? What is this?
Now we've got a problem because it's such a story and it's stuck that we're not really in a position to do the only thing that'll make it stop, which is act like we don't see it.
I also think the people who are doing this, they are not fans of the WNBA. You would not disrespect a player like that and disrupt their game if you were actually there to root them on and to win.
Oh, well, brilliant analysis there. They're not fans of the WNBA? Really? I had no idea. I thought that they loved the sport. Next up, Jimmy Kimmel is ready to flee Trump.
I do have Italian. I did get Italian citizenship.
You do?
I do.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I do have that. And what's going on is as bad as you thought it was going to be.
Way worse.
It's so much worse. It's just unbelievable. Like, I feel like it's probably even worse than he would like it to be.
It's so much worse. They sound like such clowns. And H.W. Bush to a much less prominent position. CNN reporting that they're at the top of the grand staircase, now out of view of the thousands of visitors who tour. I think it's so funny when he does stuff like this. Next up, smartphones ruining our brains.
Visitors to Philadelphia's Liberty Bell are greeted by a bizarre structure that looks like a half-built home. It is actually an important monument to a tumultuous chapter of American history. This rebuilt frame of a 3-story brick mansion built in 1767 was a key operations center during the Revolution. It was here then military governor and notorious traitor Benedict Arnold lived. After the British evacuated the city, it was within these walls Arnold hatched his secret plan to betray his country. But its most famous residents were 2 American presidents, George Washington and John Adams. President Washington moved here in 1790 with servants and a staff of 30. While living here, Washington held receptions, public audiences, state dinners, and open houses, making the residence the official entertaining center of a new nation. He oversaw a major expansion and renovation of the home, including transforming a washroom into the president's private office. Washington, a Federalist, was instrumental in planning and ratifying the Bill of Rights. From here, he even planned the future Capitol, which bears his name, in the newly created District of Columbia. But his time here also illustrated the complicated growing pains of a new nation. Washington, a slave owner, took advantage of a Philadelphia law that permitted slaveholders moving into town to keep slaves for 6 months. Afterwards, the slaves were to be set free. Instead, Washington rotated his slaves between here and his home in Mount Vernon. Some escaped. Washington's slaves were freed in his will upon his death in 1799. Our second president, John Adams, also lived here until finally moving into the newly built president's house in Washington in 1800. Tragically, by the 1950s, despite a public outcry, what remained of the house and outbuildings were completely demolished to make way for Independence Mall. The house was lost forever, or so it seemed. In early 2000, during construction of a new Liberty Bell Center, portions of the foundation of the president's house were discovered. More controversy ensued as officials toiled over whether to even acknowledge the mansion and how to best portray features as the home's slave quarters. History is not neat, reads one of the site's transparent walls. It is complicated and messy. This house exposes the core contradiction at the founding of this nation, enshrinement of liberty and the institution of slavery. A civil war would later resolve this terrible contradiction. I'm Lucy Celia, and this is An American Place on Newsmax TV.
Real heroes.
Real conflict.
Real threats.
Real heart.
Now there's a place America gets its news.
Newsmax. We're real news for real people.
Millions are turning off the old channels
and switching to Newsmax, the fastest growing cable news channel in America.
No agenda,
no spin,
just the facts.
Millions watch us, so can you.
Newsmax. We're real news for real people.
Finally tonight, new study revealing how bad these things are, destroying our brains, these smartphones, especially younger people 16 to 39. Conscientiousness, the trait that most closely is linked to responsibility, follow-through, and self-control, is plunging in recent years thanks to these phones. Young people have lost the skills of also delayed gratification, impulse control, also a sharp decline in trust and extroversion, meeting people, going out there. Financial Times also writing the sheer convenience of the online world makes real commitments feel messy and effortful. Said for a long time, these things are bad news, and we're on them all the time. Just wanted to share that with you. No politics in the last part of the show. Finity's next. See you tomorrow night. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.